You're welcome back. This is Covered Under Law, your legal light and health law in these trying times. So today, we simply hand over the microphone to you. You ask the questions that bother your mind about how to access the Labor Commission. That is a body set up by the law in section 135 or 6, thereabout, allowing it, 135 going, allowing it several functions to assist you when you have a need, as far as it regards your employment. And employers can also go to the Labor Commission to seek some help. Having listened to two former heads of the entity, today we are going through the basics, the rudiments, the fundamentals. How does it work? How can you take your case to them? And what can you expect when you go to them? And we are very fortunate to have in the studio Stephen Osei-Kisi. He's Industrial Relations Officer of the National Labor Commission. Thank you, Steve, for making time to join us.
Thank you, Sam.
Right. So to start with, Industrial Relations Officer, last week we had former chairman of the commission mention that when people bring their complaints to you, it is normally dealt with first by the Industrial Relations Officer. So who are you, Industrial Relations Officer?
Okay. I have the primary duty of resolving industrial disputes, i.e. through facilitation. So ideally, when an industrial relations officer is mentioned of the commission, is an individual who settles industrial disputes, who facilitates and settles industrial disputes.
Facilitates and settles industrial disputes. So as we said last week, you discovered that just when you started to come in with your questions for our guest, Mr. Aite, time ran out on us. So today you have all the time to join us as early as possible. Now, who is the Labor Commission?
Okay, I think that in your introductory remarks,
right,
you gave a brief of what the commission is or who the commission is. Now, the commission is an entity set up by the Labor Act 2003, Act 651, and it's giving powers and functions to resolve industrial disputes.
Right.
So largely, the commission is born out of the passing of Act 651.
Right.
Yes.
Now, the law has very interesting things to say about the functions and independence of the commission and the powers of the commission. So if you don't mind, let me just read the functions,
okay,
and then you explain to us. The functions of the commission, according to the Act, are that to facilitate the settlement of industrial disputes, like Stephen just said, to settle industrial disputes, he just said so, to investigate labor-related complaints, in particular unfair labor practices, and to take such steps as it considers necessary to prevent labor disputes, to maintain a database of qualified persons to serve as mediators and arbitrators, to promote effective labor cooperation between labor and management, and to perform any other functions conferred on it under this Act or any other law. That's a lot. Help us understand.
Okay. So if from where you just read under 1381, when it comes to the facilitation, to facilitate the settlement of industrial disputes, that is where you would find the primary role of an industrial relations officer coming to play. So you would find that if your complaint comes in and it's supposed to go through the facilitation process, then you would come under this part where the industrial relations officer would facilitate and settle the dispute for you. Now, to settle industrial disputes could take many other forms, because if you take time to go through the law, you would find that beyond facilitation, there are other dispute resolution mechanisms available to disputing parties. And so the settlement of industrial disputes could be beyond facilitation, any of those other dispute resolution mechanisms that is available.
Right.
Now, the C, which relates to the investigation of labor-related complaints, especially when it comes to unfair labor practices and all of that. Yes, I think that sometime this week, I had a chance to go to Tema. There was an issue that was reported to our office, and therefore I had to go to find out what really the situation was.
Okay.
And truly we went, and there was a little industrial action. I wouldn't say little, it looked huge because there was police presence and all. So together with two of my colleagues, we did our initial investigations. We met with management, we met with the local union, held some discussions, came to a certain consensus. And now on Wednesday, they are going to come to the office. So we begin the formal process towards resolving the disputes as we went to see on Thursday. Yes.
So this is a management with workers having a dispute.
Yes.
And the Labour Commission will be the body to settle that dispute.
Yes.
Right. So first, like I said, we are taking you through the very basics. And as you may have heard, when Charles Bawadria, former executive secretary of the commission, came here, he said, and we emphasized, that you don't actually need a lawyer to be able to take your problems there and to have a resolution. And it doesn't cost money. We'll try to find out if that is true from him. And as you heard Joseph Aite also come here, the former chairman last week also emphasized here, you can go there by yourself and you'll be assisted to go through the whole process. But if I had a problem, how do I come to the commission? Start with.
Okay. Now, I would make it as basic as I possibly can.
Grateful.
Now, if you have a problem and you would want to seek the help of the commission, let me begin with our location.
Okay.
We are located adjacent the Ridge Hospital. So if you know the Ridge Hospital, finding our office shouldn't be difficult. Now, the building in which we occupy is called the Olympic Committee building. We are on the 5th floor. Right. And so anytime that you are looking for us,
where you had the Ghana AIDS Commission, the National Youth Employment Agency.
Yes. They are now YEA.
YEA, yeah, Youth Employment Agency.
And AIDS Commission and the Olympic Committee, we are in the same building. Okay. So that is about location. Now, when you come in with your complaint, you would find that at the reception, if there is a need for you to speak to somebody, you will be directed to meet any of the officers in the public affairs unit. If there is no need, they would hand to you a complaint form. Now, the form is designed in a way to get from you vital information that we consider necessary in you filing your complaint. Okay. Yes. So let's show one of the forms, how it looks like, and then Stephen will take us through. So on your screen is the form that you are handed when you get to the commission. And that is if you can independently fill it. But as he said, if you are not in a position, maybe you are not literate enough and so on, there are officers there who will be assisting you to fill the form. So take us through what it is that this form requires of us. Okay, so on the form you would have the basic requirements, the dates, then the first part deals with the details of party referring the dispute, i.e. the complainant or the one who is coming to lodge the complaint. Right. Now, so you could either be an employee, you could be an employer, you could be a trade union, and you could also be an employer's organization. So it is designed this way so we do away with the thinking people have that it is only workers who can come to the Labour Commission when they have an issue. Right. We are open to both workers and employers as well. That is why you would find those 4 general groups listed there. Now, it would require that you also put out your name, your postal address, your telephone, And,
so a little recap for the first part, where you are taking us through on the complaint form. You are supposed to put the dates.
Yes.
So there's a date there, a place to put a date, and then it says details of party referring the dispute. And here, it's either you are an employee, you are an employer, you are a trade union, or you are employers' organization.
Yes.
And then let's continue as you were taking us through.
Okay. So now we go on to the proper detail.
Right.
So you give us your name, your postal address, your telephone cell number, fax number, and then there's also email.
Right.
Then you go to the B part, which would require that you give us an alternate contact detail, because you realize that sometimes they would fill the form, give us a certain number, but when you're trying to reach them to solicit certain information, you don't get them because the numbers...
Mr. Joseph Aite mentioned that last week here, that sometimes after people have brought their complaints, and then you have taken the complaints to people, how to reach the people who brought the complaint becomes an issue, because you don't find their addresses and so on. So now you have alternate address.
Yes.
So you have at least 2 addresses.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the alternate address goes through the similar format as the person lodging the complaint, so that there's the name, the postal address, similar information as the person who is filling the complaint himself.
Okay.
Now the number 2 deals with details of the respondent, i.e. party with whom you are in dispute with.
Okay.
So it could be an employee, it could be an employer, a trade union, or an employer's organization.
So if it's an individual, they are likely to be complaining about the employer.
Exactly.
Or an individual could come to you complain about an employee.
Yes.
Maybe in a case of sexual harassment. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So you give us the company name if it's a company, and the title of the head, name if not a company, so that it will capture the earlier point of if you are not an employer, you can still be brought in. You can bring somebody else in to lodge the complaint. Then there's the postal address, location, telephone, similar details as per the earlier requirements.
So numbers 1 and 2 simply call for some biodata, and then also simply that's about addresses, as you may call it. So the one making the complaint, your details, and then the person or the entity you are making the complaint about, their details as well. So the complainant and then the respondent.
Yes.
The one you are making the complaint against is the respondent.
Exactly.
Okay. So we go to the number 3.
Yes. Number 3 talks about the nature of the dispute. So you'd have the question, what is the dispute about? So we've generalized the various disputes as you would have it play in the labor relations field.
So you simply take.
Whether it's a dismissal, an unfair labor practice, refusal to negotiate, violation of union rights, non-payment of salaries or benefits, net contribution, discrimination. So like you're seeing on the screens, per the nature of the complaint or the circumstance within which you find yourself, then you take.
Okay.
However, we have provision for a certain allocation in the event that you think what you have suffered or what you are suffering is not adequately captured above. So we give you the chance to specify in writing what really
it is. Important to go over number 3, the nature of the dispute. And you find that a host of things, that you can complain about. Either it's a dismissal, you have been dismissed, unfair labor practice, refusal or failure to negotiate. Maybe your employer doesn't want to negotiate, or your employee doesn't want to negotiate over maybe salary or redundancy matters. It says violation of union rights, then non-payment of salaries and benefits, SNAIT contributions, variation of terms and conditions of employment, redundancy pay, discrimination, implementation of collective agreement, disclosure of information, freedom of association, maternity protection, workplace injury, medical claims, unfair termination. Okay, we have dealt with unfair termination and among others over here. So let me make a confession here. This form is not what you have always had. This looks very much improved.
Yes. Over the years, we've had complaints from our clients in relation to how our form, the design of the form. So having had some deliberations with management together with members of the commission, we decided then that we would make it user-friendly as we have now.
And the list wasn't this kind of almost exhaustive?
No.
The list used to be like about...
it numbered up to 5?
Yes.
At most 6 at the time.
So now somebody can look at this and almost any imaginable problem at the workplace is captured here.
Exactly.
So you simply tick.
All right. Yes.
And then you said if it doesn't, what you want is not specified, then you can write it out.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's go to 4 then.
4 talks about the brief facts of the dispute you are referring to. Now you would find that we've created some space for you to write. Earlier on when the commission started, people were writing. Now at some point we realized that the handwriting was
difficult to decipher
because they come and once you read through, you may see a certain letter or a certain word with a certain meaning. Meanwhile, that is not what the person is trying to say.
All right.
So now what we inform the parties is that it must be typed as has been put in brackets.
And not handwritten.
Yes.
Okay.
So it must be typed and not handwritten. And then you also attach all copies of relevant documents to the form.
Okay.
Example, appointment letter, termination letter, collective agreement, etc. So any agreement or any form, document that you consider relevant to your employment, you attach to the complaint form.
Okay. So,
together with the
let's take the employee, for example, that you have been dismissed or you have been terminated. A most relevant document you need to attach will be the termination letter.
Yes.
Or the dismissal letter.
Yes.
Right. If it is about your salary, like it says, that has not been paid, or your SNP benefits or redundancy that has not been paid or cannot be agreed on between you and your employer, then you add those documents to what you write. Okay. Yes. Then we go to 5, date of the dispute.
Yes. So the date of the dispute is exactly when, if it was a termination, when the termination took place.
Okay.
If it was a redundancy, when you were declared redundant.
Okay.
The date of the dispute is not the same as the date you would find on the first page of the form.
Okay.
Because the two cannot be the same.
The first page of the form is the day you come to the commission.
The day you come to the commission to pick the form to complete it. That is when you put that date there.
Okay.
But the proper date of the dispute is when you suffered whatever unfairness.
And that's what must come to number 6.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So number 6.
Number 5. Then number 6.
Yes, number 6. Now, just a quick recap.
Okay.
Beyond the date, there's also the place of dispute. So we know whether it's in Accra or it's in Kumasi, Tamale, Cape Coast, Takoradi.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, number 6 talks about the details of the dispute procedures followed. Now, you would find that in some organizations, there's the proper way of handling grievances and it's been listed out.
Right.
So if you find yourself in that form of organization, then you'd have to show, that's why we're asking if you have completed all or any of your internal grievance procedures or disciplinary procedures before approaching us.
Okay.
Now, there's a reason why this is there. Now, if you haven't, then we would ask that you go and complete it.
All right.
Because you might not know if in completing you will get the result that you're seeking.
Want. Okay.
So if that is the case, then there is no need for it to be.
And also it's important because if you had to go to court, this is the Labour Commission, not court, but it has the status of a high court. But if you had to go to court and you got up and you didn't exhaust the internal disciplinary or grievance procedures, the court will normally not hear you. They will ask you to go back and ensure that you have finished that process before you come to them. And you mentioned that in some organizations, it is a legal requirement for every company or entity to have a procedure by which you can go through when problems arise. So why are you saying in some companies?
Well, I'm saying in some companies because you don't find all of the companies having this procedure couched in either a contract of employment or the collective agreement. Yes, some do away.
Or even what is known as HR manuals.
Exactly.
Some companies don't have it.
They don't have it. So when the issues come, the companies themselves are at a loss as to what to do.
Right.
And therefore, so that you don't cut somebody off, we ask that if it is there, let us know. If it is not there, you only take no, and then you...
But do you typically seek to punish a company when an issue comes to you and you discover that they don't have a laid down grievance resolution procedure or disciplinary procedure?
Okay, the act doesn't give us the right to punish. Let's just use the term punish. However, when you come and it is discovered that these things are not there, you are informed that, look, so that you do away with some of these disputes coming up again, sit down and write something.
Okay.
So that
you advise,
we caution that it is for your own good that you do it, and then when the issues come, you only apply what you already have.
Okay, so let's go to 6. 6 reliefs sought.
That's 7.
Oh, 7.
Yes. So the relief sought, having typed out what you have suffered, ideally you are bringing the complaint because you want to more or less be compensated for whatever it is that you have suffered. And so you list the reliefs that you are seeking.
What you want.
What you want.
The commission to do for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or what you are seeking that the complaint should bear. So that if it is about an unfair termination, then you may want to more or less say they should pay you for whatever it is that the unfairness that you have suffered.
Okay.
Yes.
Or you could say you want to be reinstated.
You want to
go back and do your work.
You maybe people ask for a million things. You have no idea.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And there could also be a situation where, by your collective agreement, you are entitled to several benefits.
Exactly.
So you will list everything there and say you want them to give you that. All right.
Yes.
Right. Then 8.
So 8 deals with an indication of the sector or service within which the dispute has arisen.
Okay.
So you have retail, you have mining, you have transport, distribution, wholesale, domestic, private security, paper and printing, services, food and beverage, building and construction, public service, health, chemical, agriculture, civil service, and any other.
Okay.
So that if you are not in any of these sectors where you find yourself, you list there, and then finally you sign.
This is very, very improved. And then there's a signature portion.
Yes.
And then you sign.
Yes.
So you are done.
Yes. Now,
okay.
Before we go on, we are at some point we're still going to change this again.
Okay.
The details, as we have already gone through, will remain same, but we would have some portion where you indicate date of appointment and then the date for which the relationship has come to an end.
So just hold on briefly. Yes. Stephen is Industrial Relations Officer at the National Labour Commission and is giving us all these free as were education as to how to approach the commission and what you may seek and how you can benefit if you have an issue. We have someone joining us, Cornelius. Hi, Cornelius.
Hello, thank you very much, Samson. I've been following the program, but I want to find out, do we always need to be in Accra to access their services? For those of us who happens to be in some part of Ghana, I think when he was describing where we can locate them, it was only Accra that I heard.
That's right.
So I don't know whether he can come again.
Thank you. So hold on. Yes, Stephen.
All right. Cornelius, right?
Yes, Cornelius.
Okay. So Cornelius, we have 2 regional offices as at now. There's one in Takoradi, and then there's another in Kumasi. there are still plans to open up more. And I know that some plans are being made to have one in Tema, so that people don't have to travel all the way to Accra to have their issues resolved.
Okay. Yes. Stephen, I suppose your question is addressed. And Charles Bawadria mentioned this issue. Joseph Ayetetu felt and actually gave a reason why you have still not been able to expand to all the places that you are expected to be according to law. And he spoke about remuneration, among other things. Yes, so please join us with your questions. And if you have any contributions that you want to make, we are ready to hear you. But today, strictly how to access the Labor Commission and what you can expect if you have to go there. Right. Now, having gone through all of this, supposing that I find that this is not sufficient to give me room to state everything I have, what can I do?
Okay. It is the more reason why we ask that you type out the complaint. Okay. So that some people can be brief. I was employed on this date, I was terminated, or the relationship came to an end on that date. Therefore, for XYZ period, I was not given A, B, and C. Okay. So these are my reliefs. He's done. So
it is not just about filling the space that you have on the form.
No, it's not just about
you can have extra paper.
Yes. Because for what we have come to realize is that for persons who come with legal representation, there's the nature of the complaint they type out is different from somebody who would come in without a legal representation. Okay. So the lawyers actually make the work easy because they try to give you reasons why they think their client deserves the kind of relief that they are seeking. Okay. And they give you a certain background as to why those reliefs matter to the complaint. Okay. So it's easier. Yes.
And remember again, reliefs, as you find on the form, simply means what you want the commission to do for you. So as he mentioned, if it is that you have been dismissed and you feel that the dismissal is wrong, the question will be, what do you want to be done for you? You may not want to go back to the company. If you want to go back to the company, you can ask that they should put you back there. They will deal with that. You can ask that they give you money, or that's the compensation bit, and among other things that you may have, your benefits that they may have denied you, you can get it. The same way the employer too can go and ask for certain things against you, the employee, for having acted wrongly. We are in COVID times, very difficult circumstances we find ourselves now. As we are told, as many as over 60% of the global workforce is under threat of losing their jobs. In Ghana, we know that as many as 115,000 companies, as we understand, are in trouble. There are 85,000 plus of them that are unable to recover again after this situation. There are about 770 companies that have employees that have had their salaries reduced by as many as 50%. How are you dealing with these situations? Do you have many of them coming to you at this time?
Well, as we sit now, I think that we have a backlog.
So let's hold on. Let's hear Francis first. Hello, Francis. Francis. Francis, let's hear you. Unmute your mic. Okay. Hello, Francis. All right. So please, when you are coming on, always be mindful. Check your mic. If it's not muted, if it is muted, then you are muted. It's that simple. Thank you. Yes, so I was asking, in COVID times, we know it's bad. Have people trooped to your place?
Yes. I must be honest that the COVID has also brought some pressure on the commission as well, because at some point we also had to go on a small break because there was a need to do some disinfection in the office because of the complaints that we were receiving. Now, you would realize that between February and today, the complaints we've received mostly are based on people losing their jobs during these times. Now, as to whether their employers have gone through the appropriate ways of letting them go or not, we are still dealing with the complaints. And I am sure that when we have the chance to sit with them, we would correct some of these errors that have been made.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll be asking about timelines. If I came to you, how long can I expect my case to take? Last week, somebody called us and was complaining that their case had been at your end for a very long time. Hello, Edmond. Yes, Edmond, let's hear you.
Hi. Yes, this is one of the topical issues that people have been discussing in their small corner. I don't know what the Labour Commission is actually doing now, because I recall some years back, not too long a distance, one notable person, went to Labour Commission with one of the banks, and the case wasn't even closed until the man passed away. And we've been devilled with these issues of labor issues. And I realized that the place is quite laborious. The system, sometimes we file a complaint. It takes a very long time in order for the case to be heard. So I don't know what system they are deploying in order to make sure that some of the cases that come to them, it gets a prompt response. Because some people believe that when the cases go there, it doesn't receive speedy processing. And
right.
so most of the people
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Edmond's point is made. Who do we have again? Okay. Yes. So just the same question I was asking you.
Now, ideally, if you walk in today and you present to us a complaint, we are required by Act 651 that within 3 working days, we should submit a copy of the complaint together with whatever document that is attached to the other party for a response. Now, the initial invitation that goes to the other party is that we give the party a 14 working day window to respond to your complaint. Now, if that is done, then it means that per the last gentleman's call,
Edmond,
you will not suffer the delay as he was mentioning. Because once we receive that response, then quickly the matter is referred to the Industrial Relations Department. A date is scheduled, then you appear, you have your issues heard, and the process is going to continue.
you bring your complaint. Within 3 days, you are supposed to, the commission,
Yes.
you are supposed to take the complaint to the person they have complained about.
Exactly.
Or the company that is supposed to respond. And that company too has 14 days
Yes.
within which to bring their response
Yes.
or defense, so to speak. And once they have done that, then you call the two parties together and you begin to resolve the problem.
Exactly.
We'll continue with that aspect.
Okay.
We have, is it Trish? Hi, Trish.
Hi. Thank you for the information that Guy is giving. But I have a few questions I want to ask him. There are instances whereby complaints were filed to Labour Commission and nothing was done about it, and it took even more than 2 years back forth, and there was no results. So I don't know what, just like the previous guy said, I don't know what type of system they are running, because their processes just take too much time, and at the end of the day, you, the complainant, will end up giving up.
Thank you, Trish. So is there any question you want to ask Trish, or it's sufficient for you to respond to her?
Is she still on, or?
Yes, she's on. She's on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, Trish, I'd be grateful if you could tell me the name of the party and then the company or individual that the said complaint came, and it took 2 years and there was no action on it. I'd really be grateful, so that on Monday I can find out from the office why that delay.
I wouldn't want to mention names on air now. If there's other ways to contact you to leave the information, yes, I could do that. But the case is related to the aviation industry. I mean, the airline precisely.
Okay.
And secondly, I also want to ask a question, just to have an idea about how the per minimum wage is fixed in your company, because realizing the per minimum wage of the Ghana system is quite it's low, and it's draining. Like we the employees sometimes feel like we are being taken advantage of, and it's sad. Is there something that can be done about that system as well?
Okay, thank you, Trish. I don't know if you have a capacity to talk about minimum wage. You don't set minimum wage.
Unfortunately, no, we don't. Yes,
and there is no different minimum wage at any place. It's one minimum wage that is set for the whole country.
Exactly.
Right. But she was saying that if there was some other way she could get to you, she doesn't want to mention names publicly.
Okay. So, right. Trish, you can take down this number, 0302 238 345 and 0302 238 737. These are the...
Go over one more time.
Okay. 0302 238 345 and the second one is 0302 238 737.
Okay. When can she call?
Anytime from Monday, from 8 a.m. because we begin work at 8 a.m.
All right. So Trish, when you call, you may have your case looked at for you quickly. Idrisu Brahima, hello.
Good afternoon to you, Samson, and then your officer from National Labour Commission. Thank you very much. Am I on air?
Please go on.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make my contribution. The issue I want to find out is the perception about National Labour Commission. Observing from for some time now, it appears the NMC, there is a public perception that when there is a labor dispute, then you get to NLC, National Labour Commission. They are always in favor of the powerful. In other words, they always rule in favor of the employers, and most often the government of Ghana. So what are they doing as an independent institution of state to gain the confidence of what? The labor or the employees in Ghana? Because most often when you have a labor issue, then you get they always rule, most of the rulings are always in favor of what? The government. And then the second issue I have is about the employee promotion. I have a colleague who applied for promotion in an academic institution in Ghana, institution of higher learning. I wouldn't mention the name because of obvious reasons. Those particular people, I think there were some few groups, they applied since 2017. 3 years, they never had any feedback from the employer. And then this year, the employer came back and asked them to apply again. What does the labor laws say about that? Is it fair? You submit application for employment with your papers for review, 3 good years, no response. Then they come back and tell you again, this time, apply. What is your take? What does the labor law say about certain instances? Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right. So, how do you respond to him?
Okay. Forgotten his name. Idrisu, right? Oh.
Idrisu.
Yes. Well, Idrisu, I think that you would agree with me that when it comes to promotions, it's an internal matter. Now, if for any reason the persons you are making reference to have applied to be promoted and that hasn't been done, what I'd advise is that they go back to their HR to find out what has really caused the delay. And if the reasons they are given is valid, then they would know why the delay has taken place. Now, if they are giving the reasons and they think that the actions of whichever officer who was supposed to ensure that their promotions, the process goes through and they didn't do that, then it's up to them to either take it up with top level management or refer the matter to the commission so that we can help to resolve that.
Yeah, and the things that you are supposed to take in number 3 of the complaint form, nature of dispute, includes variation of terms and conditions of employment. What you're talking about may look at that. Unfair labor practice.
Exactly.
And among other things. So it could take care of it for you. Now we have Ricky. Hello, Ricky. and among other things. So it could take care of it for you. Now we have Ricky. Hello, Ricky. and among other things. So it could take care of it for you. Now we have okay, your mic is not unmuted. You need to unmute your mic before you can reach Stephen Osaikisi with your questions. We are here taking your questions for Stephen Osaikisi of the National Labour Commission. He is an industrial relations officer at the Commission. And he had just taken us through the very basic things you need to go through to have your complaint determined. Yes, Ricky, let's hear you.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Great.
Hi, my name is actually Isaac, and that is my brother.
Yes, Isaac.
Yes. Oh, I just wanted to congratulate him for the good job he's doing, and I just had one question for him concerning some of the safety measures a lot of companies put, not just public companies, even private companies, to ensure, job safety and job security, especially during this time of the pandemic.
Great question.
Is the Labor Commission involved? Are they talking to these private or public companies to ensure, job security and job safety for their employees?
Great question. Thank you very much, Isaac. So that's your brother?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my junior brother.
Okay.
Well, what he was just asking, that falls within the jurisdiction of the Labor Department. They are giving the authority to do factory inspections, workplace inspections. So under these times, it is the Labor Department's sole purview to ensure that some of these safety mechanisms, as we have always been preaching about, is fully complied with.
Right.
If you come to the Labor Commission today, at the reception, you would find that there's a bucket, there's soap, there's a sanitizer, there's tissue. So you do the hand washing, you sanitize before you even enter. Yes. Okay. So on our part, we are doing the best, and we would ask that all other persons go by these safety protocols because it's for our own safety. And
I think at the start of the lockdown, you may have read that the Labor Department working together with, I think, TUC and the Public Services Commission actually issued some directives to all employers to ensure that there is safety within their environment and specific things they ask that employers should follow. So the question of time spent at the commission, you would discover it has come up from Edmond and from Trish.
Yes.
And last week somebody also raised it. You say once you bring your petition or your complaint, within 3 days, you will send it to whoever it must get to. That is the person or the entity that the complaint is against.
Yes.
Then they have 14 days. That typical, just like what happens in the courts. They have 14 days to bring their response. Now, when they bring their response, what happens?
Okay. So if within the 14 working days, we receive a response from the other party, what we do is that the matter is referred to the Industrial Relations Department for facilitation. So we give you a date, you are informed in writing when you are to appear before the Industrial Relations Officer. And then when you come, we begin the dispute resolution process.
Okay, we'll find out how exactly you go about that. We have someone else on. Let's take our next contributor or questioner who wants to remain anonymous. Hello?
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Please, my question is that for how long can one be interdicted? And if somebody is interdicted pending investigation, how long should it take? Beyond 2 months, 3 months? And when should he expect the report? And if after that period of that stipulated period, he doesn't get any information or from the employer, what does the employee has to do? Thank you very much.
Where do you work? Public or private service?
Private.
Private.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so this is not about the operations of your office, but do you want to attempt it?
He wants to know how long.
Yes.
The law says that a maximum 6 months.
Okay.
For interdiction,
right.
Whether it is private, whether it is a public entity, 6 months.
Right.
So
and it is within the 6 months that you are entitled to receive 50% of your salary.
Yes.
And after that, if they are not responding to you, then you can make a complaint to the Labor Commission and they will deal with it for you.
Yes.
If it's a bigger issue or you feel you don't want to go to the commission but go to court, that's if you can afford, you go to the court and they will reverse or compel them to do what they are supposed to do. Yeah.
Okay, so back to what we were discussing earlier.
Right.
Now, if the response comes early, it means that your case will not suffer what Trish mentioned earlier. Now, if the 14 working days expires and we still haven't received a response, we are enjoined to serve the party another 7 working day notice. So
sort of a reminder.
Yes, it's more of a reminder. And when that period, usually you'd find that people comply either for the 14 days or the 7 days.
Okay.
However, there are some, forgive me for the French, some recalcitrant persons who you would write to like 1 million times.
Recalcitrant persons or companies?
Yes.
Okay.
Who would just not respond.
Okay.
But there is evidence to show that they have duly been served. Now, what the law requires us to do is that in the event where these notices go out to you and you fail to respond, then by Regulation 7 of LI 1822, we can go ahead and hear the matter and determine it in your absence.
In your absence?
Yes.
So just like it happens in the court.
Exactly.
When the courts bring, the summons is brought to you and you're supposed to come in within 14 days with your response and you don't bring it, they are able to go ahead without you sometimes. So you give them opportunity, 7 more days. If they don't come in, you can determine the case in their absence. Oh, that's not good. You don't want the case to be determined against you when you have not been heard. Peter, hello, Peter.
Hello, sir.
Determine the case in their absence.
Let's hear you.
It's determined against you when you have not been heard.
Your mic is muted.
I have a matter before the commission, and I wanted to know the updates on it. It's a matter between Top Recruitment versus Bernard Cotto and forwarders. So I wanted to get updates. It's been pending for nearly 1 year now, and there's not been any updates on that matter.
So there's a contact that has been given out. Would you want to take it again so that you can be updated on that?
Very well, sir.
Okay. Okay. So please take pen, paper, or type out these numbers.
Okay.
Yes, please.
0302
Okay.
238
Okay.
345.
Okay.
And 0302
Okay.
238
Okay.
737.
Very well, sir.
Thank you, Peter. So if someone is recalcitrant, doesn't do things, you also have powers to compel them.
Yes.
You have powers to compel them, right? Because the law allows you that. Okay. Now, when you finish and you give your decision and a company or an individual doesn't comply with it, what can happen?
Well, if you don't comply with any decision handed out by the Labour Commission, we are enjoined to go to court for enforcement. And so we have a legal department. They are in charge of enforcing the rulings of the commission, decisions of the commission, either made by members of the commission or agreement signed during facilitation. The legal department will go to enforce in the event of...
Yeah, we are running out of time, but what are the processes? You said facilitation. Is that the only way you use to solve problems?
No. Beyond facilitation, there is mediation, there is voluntary arbitration, there is compulsory arbitration, there is summary settlement. Now, mediation is done by third-party individuals. So that process comes with a certain fee. And then same as voluntary arbitration. Now, if it comes to compulsory arbitration, that is done by members of the commission.
Okay.
So it's free. It comes without charge.
Okay.
And then summary settlement is also done by members of the commission, and it also comes without charge.
But many times the facilitation, which is the first step, ends up resolving most of the cases.
Yes. How our statistics look, the facilitation does most of the resolution than the other dispute resolution mechanism.
Okay, and the facilitation is just you, the industrial relation officers, talking to the employer or the employee, bringing them together.
Exactly.
And letting them know that you did this, is not correct, you did this, you should check it out, and then you solve it.
The process is quite simple. So you take the statement of the employee, that of the employer, hold certain discussions, explore caucus, then come back and then move things from there.
All right. Time is always not our friend. But thank you so much. Stephen Osaikisi is the Industrial Relations Officer of the National Labour Commission, and he took your questions. I'm SAMSON LARDY ANYENINI. It's been covered and the law. We come your way again next week, God willing. Here we are your legal lights and your health law in these trying times. Have a good afternoon.